Hello, welcome to... Nope. Hey guys, welcome to The Gamer, where today we're going to be going over 5 woefully scrapped Nintendo titles that never made it to your local EB Games. Shigeru Miyamoto's unreleased masterpieces range all the way back to the 1990s with the Nintendo 64, and we will go all the way up to the end of the Wii's reign in the late 2000s. Some of the ideas that made these games great eventually made their way into future installments. Stick around and see if you can catch the similarities. Let's go! Number 5. Super Mario RPG 2. Super Mario RPG, developed with Square Enix, was an incredibly influential video game. It introduced millions of kids to turn-based strategy, and its concepts can still be felt in the games Nintendo has released since then. We don't even need to go into the fanbase for its Square-based characters like Geno. But so many fans have been upset, rightfully so, that there was never a sequel to this gem. Well, we're here to tell you that there actually was a plan to make Super Mario RPG 2. It was called... Wait for it.
Wait for it. Wait for it.
Wait for it. Super Mario RPG 2. Nintendo has never really been good with naming their games. Seriously, who thought slapping a U on every Wii U game was not the corniest thing imaginable? Regardless, Super Mario RPG 2 was first shown in 1997 in Space World, a short-lived trade show in Japan. The concept was that Mario and friends would be two-dimensional characters moving around on a three-dimensional plane. The game was intended to release on the Nintendo 64 disk drive. For those that are unaware, the disk drive was an add-on to the 64 that greatly expanded the system's capabilities. It installed a real-time clock, play magnetic discs, connect to the internet, and even make movies. This was a failure, however, and Nintendo discontinued the whole thing after just 1 year. And with the 64DD, the sequel followed into darkness. In addition to this, there were also conflicts with Square from a legal standpoint. Square technically owns the characters and properties of the RPG franchise, even though it was released by Nintendo. They happen to have a reputation for being very protective of their property, similarly to Nintendo. So to avoid copyright issues, it would have been better off to stop development altogether. If a 2D turn-based Mario adventure game that operates in a 3D world sounds an awful lot like Paper Mario, well, that's because it does. After the game stopped development, several RPGs spawned in its wake. Paper Mario was a spiritual successor, incorporating all of those elements that would have made Super Mario RPG great. And Superstar Saga followed as well on the Game Boy Advance. This unreleased game sure had a lot of influence and would have possibly been even better than its successors. Number 4, Mario Adventure or VB Mario Land. Featured at CES Winter 1995, VB Mario Land was meant to blow everyone's socks off. This unreleased game was a 2D platformer for the Virtual Boy, an attempt by Nintendo to delve into the realm of VR entertainment. The technology of the time was quite limited, however. For some odd reason, everything in the console was colored red, which would inevitably give kids headaches. This gives us flashbacks to the unreleased Porygon episode in the Pokemon anime that gave watchers health problems. 90s era Nintendo was... Whoo, it was crazy.
My eyes! Ah! The pain!
The Virtual Boy was cancelled along with VB Mario Land, naturally. But what made it great? For starters, it was a classic Mario platformer that actually took element from The Legend of Zelda. Nintendo had much of the structure of Zelda, such as the top-down view, and offered a variety of dungeons to explore. Wario would have been the antagonist of the story, and we all need a little more Wario in our lives. Like Super Mario RPG 2, it would also incorporate three-dimensional elements that the SNES would have never been capable of. While it never saw the light of day, one of its minigames did. A 3D version of the old Mario Bros. Arcade game, it was transformed into a stereoscopic adventure called Mario Clash, which was also for the Virtual Boy, so good luck with finding that game. Number 3, Super Mario 64 2. While most of us probably love Super Mario Sunshine, it was not the sequel to Super Mario 64. Just like Paper Mario, Sunshine was more of a spiritual successor than anything else. But there actually was a planned sequel set for the disk drive in 1999. As you can imagine, it was discontinued due to the 64DD's failure, so instead of going over why it stopped development, let's discover what was going to happen in Super Mario 64 2. Unfortunately, there is very little information available about this title. Based on reports, many have said that the game was like Super Mario 64 in just about every way, which is great. Why fix what ain't broken? However, it was said that there was some notable expansions to the original. Yoshi would have been a rideable steed, allowing you to traverse across Bob-omb Battlefield in no time. Luigi was set to be introduced as a second playable character as well. For many of us, that was always weird. Why was Luigi nowhere to be found in the game world? He's Mario's brother, for Piranha Pete's sake. In the 2000s, a remastered port of the original 64 game was released called Super Mario 64 DS. Interestingly, Yoshi and Luigi were playable characters in addition to a multiplayer mode and minigames. We wouldn't be surprised if Super Mario 64 2's concepts and ideas were totally translated into the Nintendo DS remake. But that doesn't change the fact that Mario 64 never received the true sequel that it deserved. Number 2. Super Mario Strikers. Mario sports games. So fun, yet so frustrating. Tennis, kart racing, golf, basketball, it's hard to stand out amongst the sea of spin-off titles. Yet Next Level Games exceeded in delivering a unique experience for us. Super Mario Strikers and its sequel were soccer games with an intense, high-octane tone. Matches would include angry cartoon faces, lots of powerful kicking, and Waluigi's pelvic thrust. You should check it out, but we saved you the trouble of scouring through YouTube, so here it is. Woof.
Jeez, Rick, oh my god, that's some pretty hardcore stuff.
Many were eager to see what else Next Level would come up with. They set out to make a Mario volleyball game for the Nintendo Wii. After concepts were revealed in 2006, it was clear that they intended to keep the intensity of their previous work. Upon starting development in 2007, the team quickly realized it wanted to incorporate elements of wrestling as well. This was due to Next Level Games having previous experience in the wrestling genre. When the team showcased their work with Nintendo, well, Nintendo wasn't happy.
No!
You see, they operated with certain rules related to depictions of violence. Nintendo felt the game was much too aggressive and clashed with a family-friendly branding of the company. A playable promo reportedly showed Waluigi stomping on Mario in a pretty brutal way. Things fizzled out with Super Mario Strikers, but Next Level went on to work on Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, so there's a happy ending for them at least. But many older fans would have been comfortable with that type of Mario game, and honestly, the idea of a hybrid wrestling volleyball game is truly awesome.
Dishonorable mention.
Super Mario's Wacky Worlds. Before we get to the last great unreleased Mario game, we wanted to include a dishonorable mention. One that was actually so terrible that one will never ever miss this Frankenstein's monster. Prepare yourself for Super Mario's Wacky Worlds. Wacky Worlds was the product of Novalogic, a company that worked with Nintendo on the SNES's also unreleased CD-ROM adapter. Seeing an opportunity to be hired by Nintendo, Novalogic offered to make a follow-up to the fantastic Super Mario World on the Philips CDI. You know those memes of the nightmarish Link and Zelda cutscenes? That was from a game developed for the Philips CDI, so let's just say that this game was destined to be trash. To support this trash hypothesis, Wacky World's developers John Brooks and Silas Warner reportedly intended on making the game as cheaply as possible. To be fair, the concepts for the game were not actually bad. The idea was for new Mario levels to take place in locales around the world. For example, there was an Egypt level, a Greece level, a pirate ship level, and more. Koopas and Goombas were altered to match the environment of the place, which would have added some much-needed variety to the enemies of the base game. The execution of these ideas were another story. This really highlighted the limited capabilities of the CDI, as sprites had to be built in a way very different from the programming of the Super Nintendo. In addition, the platform had a problem producing too many characters on screen at a time. That detracts from the fun of the game for sure. As a result, the alpha footage released makes this game look like a cheap knockoff of the original Super Mario World, which, well, you know, it kind of was, but Mario would be in these super wacky worlds, so it makes things unique, right? Come to think of it, why even call them wacky worlds when the levels are based on Earth? Some might argue with us and ask, why criticize a game that was never fully completed? It would have been totally fixed by the time of the release. To that, we say no.
No!
Take a look at all the horrifying CDI games that Nintendo squeezed out. This Mario title would have been no different. So no, it's hopeless to try to puff up Wacky Worlds to the level of Strikers or Mario RPG 2. Needless to say, the SNES CD-ROM adapter never took off, and neither did this garbage fire. We're actually glad the concept of traveling to Wacky Worlds turned out well when it was used by the Galaxy and Odyssey games. Congrats on some nice ideas. May it rest in pieces. And now, our last game on the list. Number 1, Mario 128. The most famous unreleased Mario game, 128, was originally the name given by Miyamoto to Super Mario 64 2 back in the day. When it became clear that the game was discontinued, a tech demo was released at Space World 2000 with the name Mario 128. It was meant to showcase the power of the upcoming Nintendo GameCube set to launch the following year. The demo displayed a large disc with an image of a 2D Mario on it. Turns out that 2D picture was actually made up of 128 smaller 3D Marios that eventually free-roamed throughout the space. The characters would walk around, push nearby objects, and even little nearby Marios that had fallen down. The platform would then be shifted around, molded into hills and valleys that the Marios could maneuver around. Fans around the world were incredibly excited for this new Mario game, which was reported to be in development alongside Super Mario Sunshine. Fun fact, a Smash Bros. Melee event match is named Mario 128 and features a battle with 128 mini Marios. But as the years went by, no sign of 128 was present. Each year, a Nintendo representative would promise, "Oh yes, 128 is definitely being made, just look out for it." But by 2006, Nintendo finally admitted to abandoning the project. Miyamoto told the magazine Nintendo Dream, "I'm sorry, I've forgotten. However, I believe it's become other games. From the time that we were originally making Mario 64, Mario and Luigi were moving together, but we couldn't get it working in the form of a game." Well, that explains a lot. If you hadn't already noticed, the concept of multiple characters moving objects was turned into the GameCube's Pikmin. The idea of Mario moving around large spherical objects was brought into Mario Galaxy. In fact, Galaxy's director Yoshiaki Koizumi also worked on the 128 demo. While it would have been great, it's hard not to argue that the best elements of the unreleased game spawned a host of other enjoyable titles. So really, maybe it was better off that we never got to see this game. Well, that's the end of this video. What do you think? Do you know of another secret game? Would you have played these if you could? Are you upset that Nintendo never released these? Let us know down in the comments section. If you like this video, feel free to give it a like or a comment. We're now releasing new videos every couple days, and if you don't want to miss out, subscribing is the best way to see them first. If you didn't know, the best way to see them on your mobile devices is to click that notification bell. So thanks for watching.